everyone, and welcome back to the Crucible. We have said goodbye to our last casters, but here we are joined by the beautiful Allie and Jasmine, who, in my opinion, have the best hair in all of the casters. You didn't hear that from me, though. So, just a quick recap. We did watch Core versus Shreds that last game. Core won it 7-5, breaking their overtime streak. They could not win a game in regulation before that last win, so congratulations to them. However, we are going to jump right into our next matchup, which is Slime Belief versus Up Next. Both of these teams are fighting for a spot in the playoffs. They do both have a spot in play-ins, though. So, first up, Jasmine with Up Next. They are facing a major roster swap with 2 players being dropped and 1 getting banned and a couple new pickups. What else can you tell me?
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly there. Having a player getting shot into the sun always sucks, and then obviously dropping 2, you just kind of need to make moves. So with Kira and Ticey, they're kind of the 2 that are sticking around. You've added on Aiden, Carnage B, and Deity. You've added on a lot more experience to the squad now. Obviously, Tier 2 experience. Carnage B being a CL champion, literally has a team named after him that he's no longer on. Lol. So that's kind of the thing about Up Next is they've increased their firepower not only, but they've also increased their experience by a metric compared to their previous squad.
Yeah, I think experience is always going to be a benefit. I think that roster changes have been the name of the game tonight, as pretty much every team we've seen so far has had some roster change of some degree. However, in order to determine a good prediction of this match, we have to take a look at their opponents, being Slime Belief. This team is being IGL'd by Tommy, who, if you know that name, congratulations, it's a name. They, like Up Next, are very middle of the pack, so it should be a good matchup. But Allie, what else can you tell us about them?
I mean, they have an old Pro League IGL, and they have a lot of players who have shown potential, but never really fully harnessed that, and haven't really hit the big leagues yet, even though all of them really could. So it is kind of a really interesting roster to see, like you said, kind of middle of the pack, grasping that potential, but never really able to fully utilize it. So tonight, fighting for a chance at playoffs, definitely kind of the opportunity to start doing that.
Yeah, and in order to see how this game will go, we have to figure out where it will be, Jasmine. Can you tell us what we're seeing?
I'm seeing some Clubhouse. Not particularly surprised. I mean, I guess Clubhouse is just a pretty common map at this point. I'm not too sure about the actual map pools of these teams, but I can remember Karin playing some Clubhouse at some point, so I kind of hope that sort of experience manages to transfer over and actually help them through this Clubhouse map. But I mean, Clubhouse is kind of just, it is what it is. It's a very easy map. Everyone knows how to play it. I feel like these 2 teams shouldn't have too big of an issue with that.
Yeah, it's also something that we've seen before. And while we have all of our players in the lobby, we are going to get started. So good luck to both teams, and good luck to both of my casters.
Thank you. Let's go. I'm excited. So we finally have our game.
Let's go.
Clubhouse between Slime Belief and Up Next. Both actually hovering at the similar amount of points. Slime Belief currently up in 5 points. They're a 2-0 team, winning once in OT, while Up Next still have incurred a loss against who though? Slime.
I believe that was Friendship Team.
Or Up Next. Was it Friendship Team? I
remember. Actually, I think that was the first game I cast.
Wait, no.
It was
Best Kids. Wait, no, it wasn't Best Kids. You're right. Yeah. I was lying. You're right. It was 7-5, and you were casting that. Yeah.
Nice. I love spreading misinformation and lies on Tunet personally. It's a hobby of mine. Although, probably shouldn't do that with regards to these bans. We see 2 shields get knocked off the board pretty much immediately here, as those are big and scary, and especially Blackbeard. He has that assault rifle along with the shield. Makes him very dangerous when the player going up against is a mechanical talent. Azami, very popular ban for this map, is there are so many power positions that she can hold so well because she has continual structures that she can build throughout the rounds to just make that a living hell. Running style can be Valkyrie. I mean, information off the board always going to be a plus, especially when you have someone like Uzi on the other end of that gun.
Valkyrie. No Zami, of course, a notable ban for sure. Kind of targeting that Raptor setup. No shields, like you mentioned. kind of just it feels really really counterintuitive. Obviously, you're banning a Monty, so you can't push Raptor, but then you're banning the Azami. I guess that makes sense. Makes it easier. But I've been seeing a lot more, a lot of switch ups in terms of like that Raptors strategy because Azami's such a popular band on Clubhouse. You start to see teams playing, Doc, or you have Wamai, something supplemental alongside an Azami. And if the Azami isn't there, then just see the Doc or the Wamai or both even. But yeah, the Azami, like in recent times, just because of how much she's been getting banned, those adaptations have kind of come out. But yeah, so Slime Belief going to start on the top floor, going over to gym and bedroom. Like we mentioned, Thomas, Pro League IGL, pretty well-known name at this point. Can he lead this team to victory? It's a great question. Can he beat Slime Belief, or can they beat Up Next, who are currently beatable? They've lost once, like we said, to Friendship Team, whereas Slime Belief haven't lost a game yet. So this could be a 3-0 start for Slime Belief in this league, and that could be a really good way to get yourself into playoffs.
Also very confidence inspiring. Sort of 3 games in a row without having any losses. You also dodge those play-ins potentially, which being in this isn't necessarily the worst thing. You can secure your spot inside of playoff sooner and have more time to prep for that. That's always going to be a bonus these teams are going to cherish. You're going to see here most likely pressure fight to both sides of the map at once. Just kind of figuring out where the defenders are, exactly what the setup looks like, what things are going to entail, and then going to open things up, create new angles, and see if they can use that to push people out of position, as JD does with Reapers. That opening right off the bat, and also clearing out all of Cash at the same time, making great progress.
Made their way in now towards Cash side. Only a minute gone, and they've already extracted so much just from that one frag onto Reapers. Now Up Next are already just nearing the bomb site. Slime Belief, however, might have a play here for Tommy. Tucking this wall, swings onto Deity, and it's a second kill as Ticey falls next, and Thomas going crazy inside of Khan, still trying to hold it down. His Hatch reinforced, gonna have to make another option here. It's a third for Thomas, and a fourth
Oh my gosh.
for Thomas. The man can't be stopped. He just trucks through the entire attack in this Cash area. They couldn't get him out of construction, so he brought the power to him. And Slime Belief get off with an explosive start.
You gotta get your drones going in ahead of your players. You have to make sure that you know what is going on. First kill, kind of understandable, but after that, they just didn't react accordingly. They didn't throw util at him to try to get him out of that position. They didn't try to swing him at the same time. It was a lot of 1-versus-1 gunfights that they gave Tommy inside of that position. And as well, he played that position so actively, so he was the one initiating those fights, even though he was the one huddled in the corner waiting for the attackers to come to him. And that gave another one of his teammates, that being Zach, an opportunity to get another kill on a different side of the map, but just Up Next, right? It's something that I saw a little bit of the last time I casted them, where they have a little bit of trouble when they meet active resistance, getting actually into the building and getting that foothold.
Just to see if they can bounce back here. This is one of their most played maps in Crucible, having played it 4 times, 2-2 on Clubhouse. So, not necessarily anything that pushes me to believe that, they would have a better chance in this. As a matter of fact, Slime Belief are actually 2-0 and haven't lost on Clubhouse yet. But yeah, Up Next have a lot of experience on this map. Kind of granted, you're gonna have experience on Clubhouse. You're gonna play it a lot. It's a very, it's a map that you either just ban and don't like, or you're okay with playing most of the time. And I think that it kind of depends on the team you're up against. Slime Belief obviously showing off the rip that they could just tear apart an entire Up Next defense. But also, one thing to note, Up Next have been getting a pretty quick foothold of the map control that they want. You can already see Kiru making his way down main stairs, and they did this exact same thing last round, where you saw Up Next were already inside of Catch, but maybe they need to worry about getting too ahead of themselves.
I do think this blitz pick is to give someone an opportunity to repel some of these defenders, but Reapers, he's going to get that opener on to Ticey, as he's now trying to maneuver around this blitz, but doesn't quite do it. Aiden gets that refrag, but he does get that gridlock off of the board, which does afford a little bit of maneuverability, as that allows them to, well, not have to worry about those flanks as well. That Maestro making Kira's life a little bit more difficult. And if a blitz is running at you, if you know that you can just shoot him in the feet, that makes your job a lot easier.
Up next, I mean, I think I just saw Carnage B try and put a thermite charge on a moto hatch, and it got tricked. So we're down a thermite charge. We're playing thermite on basement with no Hibana. Interesting. Anyways, Slime Belief now have that in their pocket. No more thermite charges. Deity, the only hard breach charge left, has made his way down blue. Now going to get swung by Zach and just get ripped off. There's nobody really helping him. Aiden with a double kill, though, at least putting up next back into this round, but not enough to put them even, as Carnage B is the last one standing, quite literally, as Kiru gets gassed out. It's a 1 versus 3. Carnage B now making his way towards Ivy. This entire attack pretty much just falling apart all around him. Didn't have much substance to begin with. Complete and utter lack of hard breach utility. Carnage B will simply walk into oil and get shredded. So, I mean, lesson learned. We need to make sure we're not bringing a thermite only with the hard breach charges and then sending the 1 hard breach charge down blue. I feel like getting that hatch open is pretty key to playing this map, and them having troubles with that just made them fun downstairs, and we all saw what happened.
Yes, I believe we've been doing a very good job of finding little ways to disrupt the momentum that Up Next are trying to go for. Whether it's that player inside a bar they didn't expect, or the Maestro cams, or just being swung on angles they aren't necessarily expecting. Slime Belief have been consistently looking to stop Up Next from being fully comfortable, because they've been entering in areas away from the map so they can have that foothold physically inside of it. But then once they try to get places near the site, that's when Slime Belief are springing into action, because those are the things that really matter, and so that's what they really care about protecting once the Up players start knocking at their door.
Yeah, knock at their door, they do. I think Up Next make a lot of progress in the map itself. But when it comes time to actually transfer that into something, and it actually comes time to use that fuel that you have and use that map control that you have to start to punch through sight, feels like a lot of that is just very weak and very spread out. I feel like we're not seeing a lot of teamwork out of Up Next. It just seems like a lot of walking in and dying. I mean, Deity, the only hard breach charge left, and he's walking down main with it. Or well, rather, secret. I mean, it just feels really odd, that last lineup. But regardless, Up Next now moving to this top floor of CC, opening up CC wall already. Might open up with a kill as Tommy actually gets tagged inside of Cash. But it's not enough to do anything to him.
Yeah, Karn holds a very long angle here, but the recoil is a bit tricky at that range. The rest of his team looks to take over towards this master side as well, as it can be used to provide some counter pressure along with that CCTV breach being open. So they have multiple options in how they want to funnel these defenders, and just more ways to make them uncomfortable and limit the spots they can stand in. So when this execute does go down, means Up Next are able to funnel people a little bit more than the defenders will be comfortable with. This Brava as well can get rid of a bunch of utility on the site and just create more headaches for the defense.
And I'm seeing a lot of good progress here out of Up Next, and an opening pick will certainly do that for you. Reapers dying inside of Cash, so Up Next already have an opening pick, and you can see that they've gotten so much pressure already. Opening CC wall, Cash, Con single. Now they have 2 kills. Zim falls next. That's the Raptors player. All of a sudden, Up Next now have a way into the building, but Thomas! Oh! Carnage being spawned, but it's not enough to keep himself alive as Aiden walks in through Cash. Up Next have complete control of the site, and Uzi is just being surrounded as he's the last one left. All of Up Next just getting picks in that round. Slime Belief just dying inside of the site, couldn't find a safe place to stay. And all it took was them just getting kills on the outside of the map. Walking in and planning for free. Well, I mean, they didn't even need to plan, just walking in and winning that round.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more emphasis from Up Next that round being placed upon just opening things up and then seeing what Slime Belief does, kind of letting them walk into the crosshairs. Because we see Karn get either through looking at Cash or looking at the garage doorway. As well, we see a player get killed trying to swing the main breach, because Up Next have kind of figured out at this point that Slime Belief are more than willing to give them fights. And whereas before they weren't really prepared for it. That round, they were expecting it. They played into it. So whenever Slime Belief tried to do things to get an edge, it just ended up having the opposite effect and being the reason that they were all falling so close to one another and all, I mean, just dying, right? Leaving one player inside of a 1 versus 4 that he just couldn't win.
A considerable amount of those kills just came from the outside. I mean, felt like Slime Belief just weren't safe in their setup at all. Not sure what it was that got him picked at the end of the day. But certainly opening up those walls, getting CC and Khan off the bat, kind of setting up that split early in the game. You can already see up next. Actually spotted Scap up rafters, I think, while Slime Belief are still doing setup here. Tycee's just going to get droned up. And last time around, it was up next, walking up rafters, pretty much just getting a free pick inside of Cash, and there was nobody on the side of Slime Belief there to fill that position. So Cash was free for the taking in 45 seconds. Up next, still making considerable progress on the outside of the map, though.
So here we do see that pressure over towards Cash from Tycee, but there's a lot less of it than there was before. We had players like Deity over there beforehand, whereas now they're just over on the other side of the map. Is again, they're wanting to open up these angles to try to get the players to rotate into bad spots, which is exactly what happens with Thomas, the hero of this previous defense on the site. As Kira's going to get that pick, and it's going to force the rest of the defenders to fall out of this position and fall back to the site and give up next some room to start poking at it.
Kira with another, somehow Zim gets found. I mean, once again, up next, just taking an inch and making it a mile. 1 kill turns into 2. All of a sudden, Slime Belief are completely disjointed in a way. As a matter of fact, they've completely left the site and have left Reapers all on his own. Uzi going to place that pre-play stone and make his way back up. Slime Belief have lost so much control, and up next have a considerable amount of time. No opportunity has shown itself yet for Slime Belief to try and get a pick. That's what you see Uzi trying to do right now, just trying to find a pick and maybe throw Slime Belief back into this round. 1 out of Reapers and maybe another to come soon, but Aiden gets the trade and Zach's below the site. He can't do anything about this plant. Uzi's going to die inside of main. Zach now has to retake. And there's nothing left standing for Slime Belief. Once again, losing sight, basically all by themselves, gifting it to up next, and they'll take it for sure. We're tied 2-piece. I mean, how many times have we just lost the sight that easily? Twice.
Yeah, that has been the progression so far. Though a lot of it is, I think, off combination of misplays from up next misplays from Slime Belief, excuse me, and up next capitalizing off of those very well. Because I commented on it earlier where they had allocated pressure very differently, but they're spreading out a lot more and doing a lot more at once. So Slime Belief isn't able to as easily pinpoint exactly where everyone is and then just all go for those guys. And there's a lot fewer options for the players on Slime Belief to rotate around comfortably, just because there's usually so much on the map that is wide open. And that's prompting them to still try to get aggressive, try to lash out and keep these players from getting close. But when they do, because there's so many other places they can get shot from and so many people looking at them, it's not working nearly as well, as up next are leaning a lot into coordination and team play to shut down these aggressive plays that were working so well the first 2 rounds.
I think it's kind of just Slime Belief are very separate from each other. Each pick from up next seems easier than the last one. Not a lot of trading going on, not a lot of crossfires being held. It just feels like we're going for these individual plays. You could see Reapers outside of Secret might actually have a play up his sleeve, not looking for that instant jump out, might be looking for someone to break in through Secret to meet him on the other side, and he might get that wish granted to him. Zophia's Deity positions himself right outside of stock, but Reaper's not able to find anything from it. Slime Belief have had this kind of same trouble where up next are just walking in, like you said, just utter aggression. And they can't put a stop to it already. Starting to make progress towards this second floor.
A lot of ground has been taken on this first floor, which is allowing them to start working things, get these hatches open, start making some vertical play as well once Kiru moves over in that position. Although Zim is still located on the second floor by red stairs, and if they don't know he's here, that's the most dangerous type of flank. Someone from your backline, someone from a spot that you think you have perfect control over. And you'll have a lot of time to sit and calculate his next move, as the attack are pretty solely focused on opening things up right now and actually working the map if he's able to slip between the cracks.
Where's that gap from Zim? Seems like stock is the option. He's made his way into Swamp, not making a move, waiting for the approach of Deity, and if he does time this well, Deity is all alone! But Deity wins it out. No refrag as the C4 shot, but Zach in the distance, taking down Kiru bottom main. Up next, once again, just barreling towards the site, trying to find a way in. But Slime Belief, they finally decided to back up. 3 players actually inside of Church, just tucking all in sight, not allowing Up Next to try and pick them off.
Just watching and waiting right now. They have mana quality, which in a position like this is solid until Uzi ruins that, as the rest try to drop down Moto and get to the site. But Adam, it's all going downhill.
2 for Uzi and Reapers. I mean, it's just a shooting gallery for Up Next, or rather for Slime Belief now in this round. Carnage B at least manages to claim 2 for his troubles now, and spots the third. There could be a move. He knows exactly where both of these players are. What can Karn do? Absolutely nothing. It was near perfection there. The 2 beautiful shots from back armory onto those defenders from Slime Belief, spotted where the last 2 were. Wasn't enough, though. Slime Belief finally bounced back. They play it safe as Up Next take towards site. They don't give up a pick in that, and it benefits them greatly.
Yeah, but we see there, right? They do get that opening kill, which they have been very, very good at, but we see Slime Belief there, aside from Zim, all be pretty restrained with the way they're playing. They kept things very, very close to the chest, which kind of forced Up Next to have to work a lot harder once they actually went for that execute, because there were so many moving parts on the site that they have to tear down and break through, that it just really is kind of a slugfest that Up Next can't truly be prepared for unless a couple players decide to be Bolo for a round, but typically that doesn't happen unless Bolo is on your team. And so Slime Belief, they adapt right back at what Up Next is doing, not letting them just open things up and get those picks because they have secured the site so thoroughly.
Final defense from Slime Belief, going towards Cash and CC once more. Thomas actually bringing out the Clash. Weird that they're putting him on the shield, or weird that he's putting himself on the shield, because he is the top fragger for Slime Belief. Off that 4K in the round, Zach, he's prepped this run out, waiting for his moment to strike. If there's a Claymore on this window, he can Tubarao it if he wants to. This is a perfect play out of Zach. He goes out though, what? Huh? Okay, no, you know what? That was a nice try. I think he heard the sound of the Claymore, and that's why he jumped, but wow, they were watching that. So I'll hold my breath there. I kind of thought that looked worse than it was. Zach timed that. But unfortunately, Ali, that was the Tubarao. That just hopped out and died. So this wall's going to get open for pretty much free. Well, I say that until Reapers just sends one over the net, and Carnage B catches it. It's a 4-4.
So fun fact, for those keeping up at home, unless I'm mistaken, that is the 5th opening pick in a row, or not in a row necessarily, but the 5th opening pick that Up Next has gathered this game. Although it is immediately refragged, but they have managed to open up that wall. As now Thomas holding closer to the site, just trying to be a shield for his players to play behind. See if they can gather a pick or 2. As the attack just try to poke and prod, open things up a little bit, although, like I was talking about before, the idea of Slime Belief right now is to make sure there aren't as many angles, which Up Next can take advantage of, and the Clash is doing exactly that. They're a little bit apprehensive about trying to swing in here because of its existence, although the Zof could help with that, but they can't capitalize.
Not just yet. It's actually Uzi to fall instead, thanks to Kiru, but not before he's able to get a trade. Getting zapped out. Kiru, oh, barely makes it out. Now Up Next. I mean, Kiru's going to have to go away for a time. It's just Deity and Ticey now fighting inside a con, but they can't break through this clash. There's no more Zofia concussions to use, only the impacts out of Ticey. So what's the move now? What are Up Next going to do? How are they going to break through this clash? They only need to hit one shot on her. She's very low, and Reapers, he only needs to hit one shot to the head, and he does just that. It's all down to Kiru, and he's just going to get zapped to death as he tries to walk up red. Slime Belief. I thought Tommy was going to have trouble getting kills because he doesn't have his gun up, but apparently it's easy. That's Slime Belief are now up 4-2.
Shields, when they have many players standing around them, can be such a nuisance to deal with, especially when you have someone with solid communication on that shield just feeding your teammates everything they could possibly want to get info, to swing. And as well, we saw so much chip damage being done to so many players on Up Next that clash becomes lethal by the end of it. What starts out as an annoyance ends up being a life or death situation. And as that time ticks down, those two things just combine with one another to make things more dire. As we see that game plan from the Slime Belief start to unfold. Deny the type of play that Up Next want to go for and make sure they can't take anything comfortably. Let them get into the map, let them open things up. But when they want to get onto the site itself, that's when you resist. That's when the aggression starts to come out.
Now it's Slime Belief's turn. See what they can do and see what pace they can keep up. So they're now on attack. See their lineup is that Dokkaebi could assist with that roam clear. A lot of info. In general, it seems like with the positions of these players, we might be having a top-down clear. Potentially to deal with this, Scopos Ticey hasn't been on the board per se, right? 2 and 4, not doing the greatest for himself, but could have a profound impact in this round if he's able to waste the time of this roam and kind of just put Slime Belief in an uncomfortable position. He has 2 impacts, so if he chooses to open up maybe the Logi floor and shoot down into kitchen or go for a flank, could work wonders. You also have Kiru getting his first kill actually on main stairs, and we'll back up. Zim has been taken down for free, and there's no refrag.
Now we see more pressure being mounted onto the utilities surrounding the site. Ticey is still all the way up top here, and it looks like they have an idea of where he is, a pretty good idea even. And he is occupying someone's time, and he can get back to the site quite easily because of his Scopos gadgetry. Just teleport control back to his clone and sit on the site for free. But if they leave that alone, if they make that assumption, that gives him the opportunity to switch back late round and potentially get something done. Karn could make things a little bit more difficult right before the execute actually goes down.
Zach dropping with the mask of that breach charge. Has to get a pick here. Has to find a way through. The sound certainly worked, but Kiru's at least holding the flank as he sees Zach cross. It was a nice try. Uzi almost lines up 2, but is only able to take down 1. Putting Thomas in a 1-on-4. There's a guy on the floor right next to him that he has no idea about. Has his X-Kairos out, actually. Shoots it, and it actually baits Aiden to go for those shots, and Tommy's able to back away. So now Thomas at least has info on the whereabouts of some of these players, but with 45 seconds left, Slime Belief more than likely staring down a round loss. And, I mean, out of Up Next, just continuing that aggression from attack, and it works out great.
Yeah, they like to get a foothold inside of the map generally is the big thing. And the cool thing about defense is it gives you one right off the bat. Deity, he closes things out for Up Next, brings us to 4-3. Still in favor of Slime Belief, but still showing a lot of prowess on that defense that can be carried forward. As now that Up Next have that opportunity to set up the map a little bit beforehand and bring things into their advantage at the start, they're going to be a lot more comfortable than they generally were on the attack. And they can play into some team play a little bit more effectively, which is something that we saw them like to do quite a bit when they were on the attack.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Sure. Seeing a I think I'm starting to see a little bit of kind of where this game is going and what it actually what is the win condition for both of these teams. How do they win this game? And for up next, it just seemed and actually for Slime Believe it just seems like playing for that entry has been the entire thing. And so far up next, I've been able to do it pretty well. Kiru in particular, that last round, gunning down somebody walking up main, and then just walking back down. It was no issue, no problem. I've been good with that controlled aggression, but both of these teams have also sort of struggled with getting each other's trades. Up next more than Slime Belief, I'd like to believe. So for up next, it's about making these aggressive plays and trying to find that pick without having to worry about climbing back from man advantage. So it feels like for up next, it's a very daunting task, and it has been in this game.
Early pressure being applied here. Slime Belief try to get inside of the building, start to identify the structural integrity of these extensions. See if they can poke holes in them. Right now, that's Zim trying to gather information on this cache extension, as he's going to lose a drone here, which is far from ideal. So those are arguably the most important utility in the game. As now they're starting to open up this cache wall. Viewjammer's making that a little bit more difficult, as well as Tubero, but they're still making good time. Thomas gets that opener onto Kiru, denying that streak from continuing, and setting themselves up pretty well for the rest of this.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Oh my god, Zim just died through the turret hole. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. That is incredibly unlucky. The nade gets, I mean, it just explodes and blows his goddamn feet off, and there's nothing you can do about it, I guess. 2 and 5. I mean, I'm mad if I'm him. I'm actually so pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's a trade. Hey, we said up next we're struggling with getting trades. There you go. They got their trade.
Minute 10 left now. This is kind of where we start to see more pressure on the site directly, as they do have their trade there, but can they fully utilize it? Can they deal with things? Can they hold out the rest of this minute? As we start to see now more direct pressure applied, as they want to walk in as soon as they possibly can.
Just getting that intel for now. Gathering outside the site, maybe even trying to play for a pick to maybe swing things into the favor of Slime Belief. Get that man count. That case is sitting outside of Con. It looks like it's going to be maybe an A-bomb plant, kind of like right on the chassis. That's where your default is for A. Not going to be a gym execute. 20 seconds left. Slime Belief need to get going. Thomas now behind the mattress, starting to get that plant down. Grim Bees all around, giving away the location of 3 players on up next. The Grim working to great effect. And all of a sudden, Slime Belief just explode onto site. Up next are shredded. And it's it's 5-3 unless Ticey can do something about it. With no C4 in his hand, he can't force anybody out of position. Uzi with that Grim exposed 3 people. That was an incredible take out of Slime Belief, having so much coordination in that round. That attack goes swimmingly, almost perfectly. And up next are now left to answer for 2 rounds that they need to close out.
I was starting to worry a little bit there, just because there was so little time left with them still outside of the site, and Thomas getting killed off as well looks like it seals the deal. But that utility play that we see come out of Slime Belief in those dying seconds, it identifies exactly where the defenders are and makes them hesitant to move out of those positions, which allows Slime Belief to go in and start planting that diffuser to force them to move in those uncomfortable conditions, and then capitalize on it, hold those angles, hold those crosses, so they can't properly get out, they can't break out of the cages they've been put inside of, and it forces them to try to retry the site again.
Weird, got a switch up of the lineup. We've got a Warden now. We've got a Amazi. That Warden, I'm assuming, is probably going to be playing a shield top red. Maybe that's the adaptation out of up next. Maybe they want to extend their control inside of Cash. It could be the right move to make. I think Slime Belief we're getting into CC relatively quickly. So being able to adapt on the fly and try and pressure this control. You see even Kiru positioning himself below, has a drone to work with. There's a bandit trick on this side of the map even. Typically, you see that on the jacuzzi wall, but if you heard in the distance, that was just opened, and so I don't know what I don't know. I've never seen a bandit trick on. This is weird. This is foreign to me. Yeah, I mean he backs away. There's no one there. he has not gotten away with this bandit trick.
We see there, Slime Belief realize where the bandit is, and they just say, "Oh, we can get the wall on the site for free," and they just go do that instead. And now it's forced that bandit to rotate back because there's really nothing left for him to do on Cash side, and it's just going to waste, I mean, more of the defender's time, quite frankly. That bandit ends up having really not any impact at all that's worthy of note, as now the attackers are going to try to barrel down on Karn at the top of these stairs. They're making his life so difficult. 2 kills in a row for Slime Belief. Almost 3 potentially if they can get this one on this player inside of Logi, as they've set themselves up so perfectly.
I mean, it's 5 versus 2. It's actually better than last round. We might see a flawless out of Slime Belief. Ticey has to make his way through here, manages to find one. But there's a player running at him. A beautiful shot from Ticey, but does not expect to drop all the way into Jacuzzi. Thomas just makes his approach, makes his entrance. There's a nice attempt out of Ticey. Hit some nice shots there, but up next, I mean, this is 2 rounds in a row where they just get completely trounced on this execute. But that time, it barely took any effort. Now we're seeing this attack up 6-3, getting into the building easier than last time. And up next, I mean, they have nothing to really show for it. Now going on to the basement site to try and recover.
I do like that up next are trying to solve a lot of problems with utility. As we see a lot of teams when things are going kind of poorly with extensions, the response is either don't extend this heavily, or let's just kill that guy. But instead, we see up next try to plug the holes with that utility like that bandit, but they misallocate it. And we see Slime Belief, they just toy with him. They open up the wall they know he's not on, that is really more important. And then when he is forced to go back to the site because what the hell is he doing there? They're not opening it. Then they open that wall, and they use that along with the lurk up red stairs to pressure Karn and another player out of that cash position. And then when another player tries to lash out and get a refrag, they just collapse on him too, as they just set it up to go off like dominoes.
6-3 now. Slime Belief have, at this point, pretty much had the wheel in their hands. They've been driving this car for the entire game. He had a few rounds out of up next where they definitely looked convincing, particularly on their attacks, but they haven't been able to transfer over that unexpectedness and that aggressiveness onto defense. Slime Belief have been catching them every single time. These roamers haven't been effective enough to stop Slime Belief in their takes, and starting to wonder if maybe an investment onto, you know, a site presence might be a little more effective. Sometimes you see players running a full site turtle, a full site anchor in response to the problems of their roamers getting caught up, but you still have Ticey above. Zim has made his way down main though. So Slime Belief seemingly haven't expended much time getting rid of these roamers. Zim now going to meet headway with Ticey, but Ticey immediately gets traded by Uzi. Zim throws away his life, but at the very least, it's for a good cause. Now the cams are going to be hacked. Reaper's, however, falling is massive. That's the Grim gone, making his way down dirt by himself, it seems. And that's, I mean, yeah, that's not going to work out for you whenever Carnage B is on smoke, just ready to Mossberg you at any moment. Zach, I think, literally just fell down the hatch. And all of a sudden, Slime Belief, as good as I talked about them, are in a 1 versus 4.
Tom in a pretty difficult position here, and I mean, there are a couple of players on low health. He does have some utility to work with, but just not going to be enough to make things happen once he actually has to go for something, as Aiden's going to demonstrate that perfectly. not quite flawless, but almost flawless round for Up Next to try to bring themselves back into things a little bit and deny Slime Belief that 3-0 start they're looking for.
So complete trouncing. I mean, opposite of what we expected out of, considering what we've seen out of these previous rounds, and Slime Belief just finally look like they. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. Slime Belief they just executed. Like, it didn't really seem like they had much reason to. It didn't seem like they had a lot of map control to really justify it. But Zach dropped down Moto Hatch. We had 2 players just running down main. Just seemed really out of the blue. Slime Belief just decided that now was the time they were going to start fighting for site. And it came at a moment where they were at a massive disadvantage in a 3 versus 5. At the very least, you want to try and play for picks a little bit longer before you're just throwing yourself into the site and hoping that what's on the other side isn't another round loss. But I think that that's kind of what we saw at a Slime Belief, just immediately losing that pick. Again, Reapers walking down dirt all by himself on the Grimbees and just getting Mossberged. I mean, that can't be happening. You have to be able to trade him out there. You have to be able to play alongside him or drone him. Not exactly what's sure happened on that side of the map, but the fact that there's a Grim solo inside of dirt, trying to challenge a shotgun is already a problem.
Yeah, but I like the way you put it. They just kind of executed, but even more than that, it wasn't really together. Like, you had a bunch of players doing stuff, but none of it was coherent. None of it was calculated. And so they all got caught out one at a time, just letting Up Next have their way with things, which, one, isn't really how you usually want to execute on the site, because that just kind of leads to what we saw, but it also hasn't been how Slime Belief has been playing thus far. As they have been very aggressive, they've been very loose, but they've been coordinated in that aggression and that looseness, so it all connects in the end, and gives them the optimal results they want, which, hopefully for their sake, we'll see things work out a little bit better this time, as Zim's going to make an entry over towards that master bedroom side to try to help Tommy open up that wall, so they can start to pressure the site from multiple angles and make these defenders start moving.
It's 3 stacked outside of Khan, trying to find a way into the site. Seems a little much. Stacking 3 here, but it seems like that's the play for Slime Belief. They just want to force their way through, and the fact that they've taken this far into Khan with pretty much no challenge at all, except for Kiru, who tries to walk through red rotate, but immediately is gunned down by Zim. That's a free pick for Slime Belief, but how do you convert this now? Back up, drone out, figure out where you can enter through as well. There's a lot of options you can work with. Red, flat wall. I mean, gotta find another way in here, otherwise you're gonna be funneling unless you can get those picks. But a C4 from Carnage B sends it high into Thomas's lap. It's a 4 even.
Do you see that Duck call ring out? So they probably want to try to make something happen quite soon here. But they do have a mountain to climb if they actually want to get into the site, but Zim makes it a little bit shorter.
Wow, it's a triple kill out of Zim with a DMR in hand. He opens up a way into sight here for Slime Belief. Reapers now looking to add the final touches with a double kill on the round. Slime Belief, just as quickly as they lost the last round, will take it just as easily the next time. It's a beautiful attack out of them, just forcing their way through Khan. And Up Next, I mean, they're up next for their second loss, that is for sure. They are 1-2 now in groups, and Slime Belief are currently undefeated 3-0.
In regulation as well, that round differential, it does start to add up near the end, and so they're going to appreciate. That being said, though, we're going to bring back our lovely host so we can discuss the game a little bit further.
Hello, I am back. I got a little scared when I saw the cams for just the 2 of you guys. I was like, oh my gosh, am I not part of it anymore? Quite a game though from Slime Belief and Up Next. We saw a pretty, normal split with the defense taking 4-2. Ali, could you tell us a little bit about what Slime Belief did so well this game to, take their victory?
But I think really it was the fact that they were adapting like we saw up next trying to, but they were willing to do that with a lot of aggression as well as some clever utility usage. When it came to the fights, Slime Belief were never scared to get down and dirty. They were never scared to be in your face. And on top of that, there were some clever moments, like Adam and I talked about when we saw the bandit tricking inside of CCTV. They just don't bother with it until they know he's gone. And then they open that up, they get a lurk on red stairs, and they use that to pressure everyone out of that extension and cascade things into a 5 versus 2.
All right, sounds like they've done a pretty good job. I feel like adapting is one of the name of the games here, and that a lot of teams struggle to fully grasp. And I feel like, Jazz, something that up next might have made it harder for them was their, kind of zombie roster, a little bit Frankenstein. Could you tell us a little bit more about how that might have impacted this?
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, obviously, up next, having to uproot their entire roster probably isn't going to make it any easier for them to win a game. They have to figure things out from the start. You can kind of see that they were going through the motions. There was a lot of misplays and a lot of miscomms. I felt like up next teamwork just really wasn't all there. They weren't getting each other's trades. All in all, it just felt like it was pretty disastrous. But there were rounds where we saw a lot of promise. A lot of those aggressive rounds on attack definitely gave me a lot of hope for up next. But I think Slime Belief at the end of the day were just way more coordinated on those defenses, on those attacks, and they just played well throughout that entire game, and there's really no way you can beat that sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like if they have that, foundation, that's the word I was looking for, they're kind of, trying to work together and build up the synergy from a newer roster, and hopefully they will, I believe we will see them again. They're not out of it just yet, so they have more chances if they can kind of figure out how to work together a little better. But that does conclude that match. So we are going to be taking a short break, and we will be back with a new match.